Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Welcome, y'all. Take off those rose-colored glasses, because it's time for it to get real. Merd. Caca. We've seen it all, and we're here to talk about it. You're here with the crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast. Welcome back, loves.
This is Brenda here.
And this is Lynn.
Aaron.
And Chandra.
and Chameleonaire.
That's right, girl.
All right, who wants to kick this one off? I think Lynn needs to tell her story because it's
She got stuff to
it's
say.
pretty crazy.
Welcome to part 3 of the
Yes.
shit we've seen. It's an ongoing series. Take it away, Lynn.
As the shit happens, we will make more.
Yes, and this is my first shit we've seen.
Oh,
So this is
Welcome.
actually a really good episode to start with for me because y'all. So we do Spirit Circle, and usually we do it in Brenda's attic where we're sitting at right now, but I want to blame it on Aaron that said, let's have a Spirit Circle at my house, but it might have been me, but so I'm just trying to get out of it. But somebody said, let's have a Spirit
I think
Circle.
It was me.
I do
Not that I
think
want to take credit, but I think
I'm fine with blaming Aaron.
somebody, I think we were scheduled, like, we need to schedule a Spirit Circle. And Brenda was like, well, this date. And Chandra was like, this date works for me. And I was like, what if we did it at Lynn's?
And we had talked about it before, but we hadn't said anything. And I think Aaron maybe said, I mean, it could have been, it could have been anybody because y'all, my memory's not that good. But anyway.
and
Could've
let's
been-
just set the scene of the house that you live in
So-
before we go into this story.
More context.
Yes,
Yes.
a little context is my house was built in 1776.
The year of our Lord.
So,
In our nation.
It-
The Declaration was being signed while Lynn's house was being built, you know?
yeah. And so there's a lot of energy in my house and I see stuff in there all the time and it's like nothing new to me. It's really funny when people come over and see stuff though.
For you.
I'm a resident not clairvoyant in this group.
Sure.
And I have seen shit in Lynn's
You
house.
see, I caught one on video. which we
Yeah,
had at
yeah,
the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
but
Oh, I
when did
forgot
my
about
Reiki
that.
with you-
Yeah. And that's when they like lost your phone upstairs.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
So a whole different story.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the shit I filmed coming soon.
That's right.
next week's episode. So we decided we'll have it at my house. And so there's a portal upstairs in my attic. And I knew it was there when I moved in because I found it. And I keep black salt and cascarilla down at the door because it's a little closet. And so we were like, oh, let's have Spirit Circle. So y'all, like a week before, like,
And we can all sit in the portal.
and
Mhm.
yes,
And
which
we
is,
did.
and we did, and it was a lot of fun. But before that happened, I was upstairs because it's where I keep my Christmas stuff. If y'all, I think I've probably said it on the podcast, like I really like Christmas. For those of y'all who don't know, there's a lot
And
of
skeletons.
That's
And
still an
skeletons
understatement, but
and-
go on.
there's a lot of stuff up there because it's just storage. But I cleaned it out, vacuumed, and put some chairs up, and the energy started amping up from that point. And like I would see these white beings like walk by the door, and I was like, "Oh, interesting." Okay, I'm just going to go in my room and shut the door. Not that they need a door, but whatever.
They get the message.
So-
Do not
It
disturb.
made you feel better anyway.
It did. It's like intention. Shut the door. Don't come in here. I'm trying to rest. But there was a lot of stuff that was going on in the house and before we had Spirit Circle, but then we had Spirit Circle. And so I was like, oh, I called dibs on the chair. Since it's my house, I go first. And so, but I do my little stint in the chair and I'm feeling kind of wonky the whole time I'm doing it. And I think probably everybody felt a little bit like off kilter when they were in the chair, but it wasn't completely dark in there, which I
And not
actually
just-
liked.
Not just in the chair. I mean, the
Yeah.
the energy.
the
up
whole
there,
energy.
It was.
Yeah.
On your street,
I
girl.
don't want to.
Real.
yeah.
But I mean, walking up there to go into circle. I want to say words like thick and heavy, but it wasn't negative thick. It wasn't negative heavy. It was just like there was just a lot.
Dense,
a lot.
syrupy,
Yes.
almost.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Viscous.
And I actually
you
liked
go with
that
the
it wasn't
description.
completely dark. maybe if Chandra wants to tell this later, maybe a different episode, but we could see Chandra like shape shifting in her chair because it wasn't dark. That's a different ball game. But anyway.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy. So I say, okay, I'm done in the closet. I could barely like keep my head above water at that point.
That's how I felt at 12 too. I'm coming out. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. So I just kind of slide down and I'm sitting in the floor and I've got my back up against a wall and like I can feel myself like starting to come out of body. And I don't say anything because I can't really say anything because the energy is almost like, it felt like it was pressing like.
It was almost like underwater.
It was. Yeah. It was like I was getting pressed down, but also coming out at the same time. And I could like, it was the weirdest thing. Like I could see myself in front of my body.
Disassociation, they call it.
Yes. But Brenda was sitting there and I could see Brenda and I thought, oh God, I'm getting ready to get in Brenda's body.
Wouldn't be the first, won't be the last. Go on.
That's what he said.
And so I said something and I could hear myself coming from behind me.
You said Lynn is not in the building.
Truly.
And it sounded like I was in the middle of the room because I was, but I heard it come from behind me. But then Brenda said, Lynn, I think you're getting ready to merge with my body. And I was like, I couldn't.
And that'll be $100, Lynn.
Right. Then maybe later.
Because I couldn't like get anything out because the energy was so, I was disconnected. What'd you call it, Cam? Disassociated.
Yes,
like,
ma'am.
But I could see myself going towards Brenda. And the next thing I know, I was, weirdly enough, my soul merged with Brenda's soul. And I could see out of her eyes. But the weird thing was I could see inside of her body looked like a room to me. And there were 2 windows that was right in front of me. And I was like, oh, those are her eyes. And so I walk up and I'm looking out these windows and I can see things from Brenda's perspective, which is very different from mine. Like I can see what stability looks like to her, I think is one of the things I saw. And I could feel like just how like peaceful she felt. And I don't know how she was feeling peaceful in that moment, but she was. But the expansiveness is what I was seeing of Brenda's soul. It was the expansiveness. And that's why it felt like I was standing in a room and I had room to move because I'm bigger than Brenda. So if I literally tried to get in her body, it won't happen. I would bust her at the seams, especially around the hips. But
that was my question. How did it feel to be a size 2 briefly? Because
Right.
I
We would
can't
all love to
fathom it.
know.
I can't fathom it either. But it felt like I was standing in a huge room.
Yeah.
And like everything was like clean. There was like nothing dirty. And I can remember how it looked so bright. That was another thing about it. Like it was very bright. And I could see out like her eyeballs. And so it was like I was feeling and seeing things as part of Brenda. And then Brenda.
Yeah, can I tell my part?
Yeah, go tell your part
All
now.
right. So as this was happening, I was seeing Lynn and I coming together, and I'm like, this is really weird. And to say to somebody you're in circle with, I think we're about ready to merge. And I don't even know what the hell that means, right? But what I saw was these 2 balls of light, and they were intermingling and almost like it was like a dance and a twirling together. And we were going through space and time. And we would be balls of light. And then when we'd be like these elongated versions of the same thing, it was like we were shifting our energy, but we were like mingling together, almost like if 2 snakes are in a fight with each other and, they like just go together. It was exactly like that. And it was like we were going through the universe. In all of my 51 years.
Scream it from the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Crypt
Have-
keeper.
I digress.
Oh, shit. I have never experienced anything like that before in my life.
Me either. I was a travel virgin, I guess, because
Same. I mean,
because I've never experienced anything like that.
and
Not ever.
And in my body, I felt like I was out of my body as well. It was like I was in this deep trance state almost, and my body felt so heavy. But I guess because I was out traveling or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lynn and I were out chilling in the universes.
Yeah. And it took me I'm talking days to get, I want to say back right, but that's kind of,
That's a stretch, honey.
it's such a stretch.
Just back.
Like back, but also different. Like I think it changed me. It helped me to see things differently. So I think, but it took me a while to
I think that whole
come back
with
around.
the white beings also.
Yeah.
Talk about the recovery. Yeah.
Yeah. The recovery was it was long and slow, but there were white beings there and I started channeling them as well. They're white and they have like a rainbow, like aura field, and they're absolutely beautiful. But the recovery, like half the time I probably text Brenda 15 times. And I said, and probably in the group chat too, and was like, y'all, I think I'm crazy. Like, I think that I don't feel right. Nothing feels right. And so it took me a while. And then what happened was, it was like this past Tuesday morning, I was in meditation and they were telling me to go to Pilot Mountain. And I was like, oh, it sounds so good. Yeah, I'll go after work. And then I get on the way to work. And I was like, I ain't going to Pilot Mountain. I got too much shit to do. Like, I'm busy, y'all. Like, I appreciate that,
It's a great thought.
It's a great thought, but I can't do that. And I get to work, y'all, and I was locked out. I could not get into work. No matter, there was just nothing I could do. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to Pilot Mountain. And so I went up there and sat on the side of the mountain and did some meditation. And when I came out, everything was different. And I think it was the next day, I was getting up and getting ready for work and I walked in my bedroom and there was a big white flash.
Yeah.
And I looked around and was like, oh my God, I'm back.
Yeah.
And so a piece of me that was lost from somewhere, came back from that whole story.
On the mountaintop.
Well,
yeah. And getting in Brenda's body and.
Well, but I think the part that stayed away was I think you were getting upgraded the whole time.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it was there was some deal as to when you were ready for that part to come back.
Mm-hmm.
It had to finish the learning that was going on, but also you had to get to a point grounded enough that you could tolerate that energy because it wasn't going to be the same as when it left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And you had to get to where you
Look
could
at you
tolerate that
channeling,
coming
girl.
back.
Yeah. And I think that's why they took me up on the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
It was because I needed to be out.
Well, there's a
and-
vortex up there, too.
Exactly.
There is,
There's and that's why they moved me here. That was the whole thing.
That's
that
where the
came
ley
in.
lines meet from everywhere.
Yes. And so, I just got the complete chill bumps.
I just got a little nauseous, right, as you said that.
Yeah. My legs are have chill bumps so bad, I can't hardly keep them still. But that is why Tuesday morning I was in meditation and my father came in. So I was working with him and they told me about going to Pilot Mountain. And then they said, this is why you even moved to this area. This is why you travel this road every day. This is why you see Pilot Mountain every day. This is where you're supposed to be. And then, I saw y'all too. So anyway.
I know that's
that was
why
my
I
story.
was pulled to North Carolina for a bullshit reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
100%.
you guys were the prize.
We're the bullshit.
Absolutely. No, I waded through the bullshit to get to you.
You still wade through some bullshit when you hang out with me, but y'all go ahead.
Yeah.
We're
That's
trying
a
to
different
keep,
episode.
Yeah. So
But
go ahead.
I feel like that's why I stayed in corporate for so long because every day traveling that road, I got to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
And there is security and routine. You know this.
Well, yeah,
Sure.
there is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I never got. That was always one of the highlights of my day. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I just remember being on 52 and like you come over a hill
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you can see the mountain.
Yeah.
And it was like that. I remember very little day-to-day things of like knowing that this was like part of routine. But like I have a very strong recollection of like what that different ways that it looked, like how it looked in the fall, how it looked in the summer, how it looked in the winter, of like topping that hill and seeing that every day.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's where Chandra and I went. We were talking in the last episode.
That's where we were when we had that, I started like sensing stuff and Brenda was like, yeah, they're here. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I was completely freaked out.
Yeah. And I had a experience up there whenever I went after I did my card pull up there. If y'all don't follow me on the Instagrams at Seabolt Grass Joe, y'all can meet
Square. That's right.
Y'all can meet Brenda Sue Jean Louise Sterling III and her card pulls in nature.
They're very fun.
But I'd done a card pull and then I got up to start my walk back down the hill. And I got super dizzy and lightheaded. And I was like, okay, what's going on? It felt like the whole woods were spinning. And I knew it wasn't me. It wasn't like I was dehydrated or any physical
This
thing.
woman needed a Nutri-Grain bar and a
Right.
Mountain Dew. Her sugar was low.
So it wasn't any of that, right? And then I had this visual of all of these beings standing in a circle around me, and they were kind of like this silvery color. And I don't know if they're your same beings, and I see them silvery, and you see them with a rainbow aura,
That feels right.
but they're silvery, and they were standing around me facing outward. And the message that I got was protection. It was like they were there to tell me they were there to protect me. And yeah, that was just really nice. So if you live in North Carolina and you want to go to Pilot Mountain, there's a vortex and apparently alien ships have landed there. I don't know. I haven't seen that personally, but I'm curious.
And
Y'all,
you
I got
might meet
something.
one of us there. You never know.
Yeah.
True.
It could happen. I have to share something that I saw. There was this map from this, I guess you call a psychic or a futurist, where it talked about kind of like the Earth Changes report, climate change, all that stuff, how the ocean is going to overtake so much of Lower America. And the water stopped right before our area, the Piedmont Triad.
Wow.
And they claimed it was because that is where the ley lines meet. That is going to be the first safety zone, and everything else, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, is going to be underwater.
That's wild.
Could happen. Don't know.
Oh, that gave me the chills.
Well, have you noticed that there are so many people moving to this area?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Like from
Bye-bye
other
trees.
states. Yeah, I know. That really devastates me. There are like new neighborhoods being built very close to where I live right now, which is kind of like out in the boonies.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly kind of running into people from California, New Mexico, Arizona,
Lots of people from Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So people are like kind of coming to this area and it almost is, I wonder if they almost sense that something is
Yeah.
coming. And
Definitely a draw
Or
from
the energy.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Your higher self will always tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
And y'all, stop driving up the home prices.
Lord Jesus, baby. I didn't realize that damn mortgages could just go up out of the blue because, you know, at 31 years old, they don't tell you that. And so Christian was just like, hey, can you send me this much more for our mortgage? I was like, are they going to take plasma? What do you mean? You know, and he's like, it's probably property taxes. Like, you know, tax season went up, whatever.
Sell a dog.
Oh my God, I would never. And so, but come to find out, you know, that, yeah, our property taxes have went up enough to make our mortgage a good chunk of change more, like a new bill kind of every month. And I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? And it's funny because I literally said out loud to him / spirit, how am I going to do this? And I got a new part-time job and I've gotten more energy work. It's almost like the universe is like, you're where you're supposed to be, bitch.
Magic.
Calm down.
Mhm.
Magic.
It's
Truly
going to be
magic.
fine.
It's going to be just fine.
But since Brenda like shouted herself out, I'll go ahead. If y'all want to see the pictures of Pilot Mountain from when I went,
Mhm.
look for me on Instagram at Enchanted Lynn.
Yes.
That's right.
All
And
right.
the pictures are really good. So.
They are. They're beautiful.
They're
Magical
gorgeous.
place.
Pilot
Yeah.
Mountain's magical.
It
Okay.
is.
So who's got the next story? Aaron?
Well, no,
Chandra?
I think
Chandra?
Chandra talking about the snake, and then I'll.
since it is the snake.
Girl, you literally turned into it.
She has
well,
another
that's-
story.
No, that's what I was going to say is because
Okay.
it's my birthday.
Yes.
I'm going to call dibs.
Please go.
No, because I want to hear y'all tell the story because I know what I
Oh,
experienced
okay.
in the portal
Yeah.
in the closet, but I couldn't see it.
Sure.
Like
I was closest to you. So is it okay if I start?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
well,
Okay.
here's what it felt like to me. So I'm sitting in the chair and it feels like my head is lifting off of my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I could feel my neck elongating. And then all of a sudden it starts being pulled backward
Yes.
and backward and elongated. And the only way I can explain it is if you've seen the pictures of like the tribes in Africa where the women wrap, I think it's Africa. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it Africa?
Yeah,
Where they put
it's
the
a-
gold
But
bands.
they put the
Countries
gold-
in Africa, yeah.
the gold bands around their neck from a very young age, and they stretch them to like these really like long, awkwardly long dimensions.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. And it started with it pulling up, but then it started pulling backward.
Yeah.
And it was like, I kept thinking, is my head going to hit the back wall? Because it
Yeah.
is, like you said, it's a very small closet.
Yeah.
And I kept feeling like, okay, it almost like when you're in a pool and you're doing the backstroke and you're
Mhm.
like, okay, in a minute, I'm going to hit my head on the back of
Yeah.
the pool. Like that's really what it felt like. Is I was concerned that my head was literally going to touch the back wall
Yeah.
of the closet. And as it kept pulling backward, everything, like you said, the room was not quite completely dark. It was very dark, but there was still like ambient.
Hinges of light.
Mhm.
Yeah. It kept getting darker and darker because I was getting pulled further and further and further back into the closet. It felt like that light was going away, like I couldn't see that anymore. So that was the only thing I experienced. That was my whole experience is I just felt my neck elongating and things getting darker. But you guys kept saying that you were seeing this and seeing that. I want to
Yeah.
Let the Sagittarius talk.
Okay.
now that we're not like in circle and all like
Yeah.
in trance and like
Have
because-
memories of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was closest to Chandra next to the closet, and you and I like are connected in so many past lifetimes, I feel like, but often in spirit circles, we'll sort of ground each other, my ADHD soul sister, but we'll like one
Opposite
of
signs.
yes, yes. I draw nothing but Geminis, I feel like, and Virgos, but the occasional Aries sextuplet. Anyways, so in spirit circle,
Gemini rising. Go ahead.
there you go. I feel like in a lot of spirit circles, when something kind of crazy is happening, you will kind of reach out to me and like grab my hand or my leg or something to kind of ground me back. And in this moment, I did too. I don't remember if I grabbed your hand or if I just put my hand on your knee, but I felt called to like
Mhm.
put my physical body on your physical body.
Mhm.
And you were like, your neck was extending so long, and several other people in the room were talking about how your skin was changing colors, like scales. It would turn blue at first. We're like, oh, duh, she's a blue being. Like, the Palladians make sense. And then it turned gray. And we were all like, oh, it's snake energy. So it's interesting you mentioned that earlier about the snakes intertwining, Brenda, you and Lynn. Like, the snake energy of, like, Chandra, I think, like, really shed a lot of shit that night.
Transformation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jinx on you.
Her neck was, like, so long and very tall. And we're all, like, sort of, like, seeing it with our physical eye. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like our third eye, but our physical eye, we were seeing this change happen. And it was like her face would morph and change. And so it
Mhm.
became like snake-like, cat-like, other planetary being-like. And her neck was just going so far back that I'm like, Lord, we're going to have to call the 911. You know, like I really, like I was concerned that her head was going to
Pop off.
pop off. It was so long and far back.
Well, and I could feel the tension, but I'm gonna tell y'all, it felt good.
That's what she kept saying. She was like,
That's a
"This
good
it
stretch.
probably looks crazy, but it feels amazing."
Yeah.
When I looked over at you, I could see like blue scales.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was seeing too.
And her head wasn't pulled back to begin with. Her face was like blue up the side,
Yep.
and her ears were pointed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like little, it was almost like fairy blue
Mhm.
avatar, something,
Mhm.
something, something, something.
Which our friend
Something.
Antonia, who was in the spirit circle with us, she was the only one that's not
Yeah.
here right now. She
Yeah.
has a lot of fairy energy, and I think might have been a fairy in a different
Yeah,
Oh, for
timeline or
sure.
whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wonder if some of that was coming in too, like with
Maybe.
her being there. So shout out Antonia, we love you.
And you wonder, like when people create movies like Avatar, are they just channeling shit they've seen?
Right.
Oh, I've said that many times.
For
we talked about
sure.
that last
Yes, we
night.
did.
Come on,
Yeah.
James Cameron.
Well,
Mm.
like,
Because we've seen some shit. We can help you come up with some storylines.
Right.
but I mean, if you think about it, it's all the quantum field. Like everything
Right.
exists in the field of energy,
Right.
and it just depends on what you're tapping into.
Mhm.
Like it's all everything that's ever existed and ever will exist is out there in the field.
Yeah.
So it's just like where your energy is and what you tap into in the moment and what you pull from. So I thoroughly believe like it's everybody's interpretation of what
Totally.
the energy that they're perceiving.
I have to give a shout out to something. Lynn and Brenda and I were talking yesterday about The Simpsons.
Mhm.
A perfect example of channeling, because so many things have come true. And I bet those writers don't even realize
Truly.
what they were doing at the time. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pass this around. This is an AI generated photo I did of myself as my higher self, like what I would visualize my higher self
Mhm.
being. And I'll put this in our show notes.
Yeah.
But y'all
Is
are
it
gonna-
blue?
Yeah, of course it is. It's
Oh, that looks like
Yeah,
no.
that looks.
I didn't see
20
that.
ears,
No.
the whole nine.
But that's what you look like
Blue
in
and
the
gray
closet.
scales.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what you look
Holy
like.
crap.
And a lot of neck adornments.
Pass
Like
that around
jewelry
here.
and-
Stop being-
I'm sorry. I had to take it
Stop
again.
bogarting the photo.
Yeah.
That's her.
Yeah. That looks
Because
a lot like
the one thing I do remember y'all saying is that there were like lights, sparkles on like the side of
Yeah.
the face. And that's
Yeah.
what made me think
And
of the
behind you too, like back in the
Mhm.
closet.
Oh.
100%. So
That's right. I'd forgotten about that, about the lights
Yeah.
behind you that were like all these sparklies were happening behind your head. And
Yeah.
the closet was like pitch black.
oh, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of sparkles and pitch black, so Christian and I moved into a house about 2 years ago in my hometown. Live, laugh, love for the house. It's absolutely so cozy and amazing. But the bathroom is attached to our bedroom. We both, that feeling you feel when you go into a room, the energy shifts, like that someone's watching you. Someone or something is there with you, observing you.
And you don't want nobody watching you in the bathroom.
No, ma'am, girl, to do my business. And so neither one of us had said anything to each other because I didn't want to freak him out. I'm sort of like opening up a lot to this intuitive stuff. He's like diet woo. He has a lot of powers of his own, but doesn't want to like dabble in it, you know? Like
Mhm.
everything I do is bathed in his blood, as he said.
Episcopalian woo.
That's right. So anyways, but I felt like, so one night we were sitting on the couch and he said, do you ever feel like you're being watched in that bathroom? And I was like, well, if we're going to open Pandora's box, let's just get it on open, So I was like, actually, yes. And so he was like, isn't that weird or whatever? And so I was like, okay, well, shit. It's like when someone's put in your face, you got to deal with it. And
Now
it's
that
like,
you've
well, now I have
said
to deal
it.
with Right. So I did a little guided meditation and I got that it was this old woman. This is just alone. I didn't tell him anything about it. I just like sat with it. And there was this old woman. I could see her physically. Her name began with an A, but I couldn't quite get the full name.
Annabelle.
Agnes.
She was attached to the land. She was sort of a bit vengeful, like because she had lost her 2 sons and it was very confused. It was like she was still tied to the land, but couldn't cross over fully to be with her kids. And Christian reminded her of one of her sons that had passed. And so that's why she sort of was like drawn to him. Thank goodness, because y'all, I get ready in the hall bathroom every morning. I'm not trying to have her up in there with me. So anyways, so I got all of this and then in the guided meditation, I like gave her a hug and I was like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. It's not fair. And she was very angry. She's like, I know, like very, and I was like, woo, like I'm getting like cold chills everywhere. And like, sort of like, am I trying to dance with the devil here? Like, is this too much? I was like, no, she's just wounded. Like, and she's misunderstood. And like,
Dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. Go ahead.
oh my God, I got stuck in my head all
But your
day.
empathy was awakened, and I love that.
Yes. And so I gave her a big hug and she like went away and I was like, this is not, like she didn't cross. Like this isn't the end of this, right? So of course, as one does, I text my woo crew, I text the podcast. I was like, hey. And so of course, Lynn's like, can you send us pictures of the bathroom? I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. This thing is like, it needs to be updated. So I sent it to her and I felt like the shower, which is where he feels it a lot, or felt it a lot, is a portal, right? And Lynn texts back almost immediately and says, that shower's a portal. I was like, okay, well, fuck. So then everyone else is like, you all kind of chimed in separately. Like, it is an old lady. She's attached to the land. She lost 2 sons. Things that I got in the meditation, but I don't think I said to you all. Like, just, and it was like very verified. And their name was Adeline. And so I was like, okay, I've got to kind of help her cross over. And I'm going to stand in the shower. And I feel like Christian's going to be a part of it. So I went back in. I was like, hey, baby. So
Let's take a shower together. No reason.
no reason. And I was like, hey, look, this, and this. And so I feel like we need to help her cross over and you're supposed to like help with it because she's attached to you. And he was like, okay. And just kind of came in the bathroom, was very like, go with the flow with it. And so I stood in the shower and like channeled this like prayer sort of. And he repeated after me. And at the end, I see her like so much lighter, so much happier and at ease. She's going towards this light and she's happy and she's waving at me. And she's like, thank you both so much. And then she looks at me in particular and says, and Aaron, it's your turn now to remind Christian of his powers.
Oh, shit.
So it was almost like she was there to remind him, like, you are intuitive. You do have an insight. You do sense things. And so I said that to him and he chuckles and she says, thank you. And I say, thank you. And our bathroom light starts flickering like crazy. And so he's just sitting on the wall, like about to shit himself. You're like, oh my God.
Aaron, the shit I've seen.
And the shit I've seen and smelled and dealt. Just kidding. And so her crossing over, like helping her do that it was like I was standing in the shower and it was just like the rest of my life flashed before my eyes. And it was like, this is what you're here to do. And shortly after that, I went into the little crystal shop in our hometown and just asked the two owners, it's a mother and daughter. They're lovely. And I was like, hey, and I told them the story. And Brittany, shout out Brittany if you're listening, she spilt her tea. She was drinking herbal tea as I was telling. She's like, I'm sorry, the energy just is so intense right now. And you telling this story is crazy. And she's like, I love for you to do a reading for us. And so of course, none of this makes sense to me. And so I sit down and start to do a reading for them individually. And they're crying and it's healing and I'm tearing up. And then I started doing readings and I'm channeling loved ones that have passed on in spirit and whatever. And just seeing different things with my physical eye now. And so prior to the spirit circle, when Lynn has been talking about the white beings, I saw this large, tall, white cloaked figure standing right near me in the kitchen, kind of like our kitchen's connected to the hallway. I saw it, and at first I was like, oh, as it freaks you out, you're like, what the hell? And you're like, oh, girl, you just hear, okay, I see you, and so I acknowledged that, and it went right down the hallway. And so I feel like I need to text them this. So I texted you all, and Lynn's like, those are the exact beings I've been seeing all week, and they're prepping us, they're visiting you all for the spirit circle. Anyways, this is going to be a multi-part series, but this is just some of the shit I've seen recently. So
yeah, I feel like this is going to continue on because
a saga.
The more that we,
the more spirit circles we do, because that week leading up to that one was intensified.
I'm still physically, from my physical body, cleansing stuff from that spirit. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can tell from my voice as if you listen regularly, but my sinuses are still awful. And yes, it's summer and allergies, but it's something else that started happening the day after the spirit circle.
Right, you should be living in the house.
In your house?
Yeah, yeah.
I can imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah, because even if I go upstairs now, it's like getting shocked by electricity.
Damn.
It's still very, very, and I haven't moved the chairs either.
Right.
Every time I go up there, I'm not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. It's not.
Maybe, it's not done yet.
It's need more asses in them chairs, girl.
Well, that's what they said, but they said that it would take weeks.
Yes.
We would be experiencing.
Yeah.
And I think it's reverence. You need to leave it until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I kept feeling called out to the woods behind my house yesterday. I was like, okay, I'll get there eventually. And two large deer come up right to our back fence and our dogs are freaking out. I was like, okay, message received.
I'll be right out.
And so I changed out my bedroom slippers into my Birkenstocks and I went out in the woods and I don't even know. I didn't I have a photo I'll show you guys later. Maybe we can put in the show notes where I think I caught a nature spirit on camera when I sensed it. It was take a picture. But I just felt so much intense Mother Gaia. It was this earth energy of you need to ground. And it felt in a much more diet or small way that a part of me came back yesterday too.
Yeah.
So
I was sick for 3 days after Spirit Circle, weren't y'all? Did y'all have the sickness?
Well, I think I grounded really good because I came home and did math.
The devil's language.
Yeah. And I went hiking and I hiked a lot the week after, almost every single day. I think I missed one day that whole week.
Wow.
And I think that helped me to integrate the energies.
For sure.
I got physically sick. I was sick, nose running, coughing.
Yeah, I had to take a day off
sneezing.
Work. Yeah. Because my throat was so sore.
Oh, yeah, same.
Nose draining. And
that's a couple of chakras starting at your throat going up.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, block.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Spirit work happening, y'all. Spirit work happening.
Yeah.
It was fun, though.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And maybe we do one of those when we do our Wednesday things.
That was
our
kind of one of the things that when you were talking about seeing it all gel together, once we have a few months under our belt and we have a group that kind of solidifies.
Yeah.
It's then do a community spirit
circle. That way there's a lot of energy over there.
Yeah. And I can see it. As you're talking about it, I'm seeing it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I see exactly where it's going to happen, how it's going to look. So
excited.
I'm ready, y'all.
Well, someone tell me about this Woo Wednesday thing.
Well, who wants to talk about it?
Well, it's kind of a throwback to how our group all got started. We all kind of like piece by piece started going to these development circles that Brenda was hosting. And I just looking back at how much we grew during that time. And of course, then COVID and all plans went to Hades. But I'm just feeling that pull to get started again with it, to have just a safe space, a selected time when we can get together and we can just play and talk like this, talk about the things that we experience, so that it's like, oh, I've experienced that too. Okay, great. I'm not crazy. Somebody else has felt that or seen that, or
instead of traumatizing your Christian coworkers,
Right.
you sit together and be like,
I'll do that anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also like being able to practice the things that you're learning, like put somebody on the table. We're going to experiment on you. No, I'm just kidding. But we're going to like all work on you. And we're going to see what we feel and what we get, and then what the person feels on the table.
What comes through for you.
Yeah. And I think that's so validating for people. Yeah. To see that other people are feeling the same thing and that something's actually happening.
Yeah.
And it's okay to just show up and listen and observe.
Yeah.
That is step one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I feel like a lot of my growth in particular in the past 6 months has just come from being in Lynn's energy. Like I get so much, validation is the closest word, but just
a remembrance.
Remembrance experience of like the more time that I spend with her in circle or in healing sessions or whatever, I feel like it's doing a lot for my sensitivity. So even though I might not be active in that or participating in that, just like being in the experience of the energy that's moving in that space is affecting my own sensitivity. So I mean, just like you said, I can have a big, if you feel like maybe you are or whatever, just kind of like being in the room with people, like actually practicing can help you develop your sensitivity more to what's going on around you.
Completely.
Community is so powerful.
it's so important too.
These days more than ever.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Part of ours.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you when you come to one of our Woo Woo Wisdom Wednesday.
Yeah.
Woo Woo Wednesday.
Woo Woo Wednesday.
WWW, not
That's
wrestling.
That's right.
Yeah, we can't wait to get started.
There might be some wrestling, but go ahead.
Spiritually.
They're going to start on June 26th, and we'll have one a month is the plan now, unless you guys are really loving it and we have more people, then we'll
because
expand it.
we're limited to only 12 people at this point, just because of our location. But if we have more people interested, we'll do 2 a month, because why not?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Fun.
We love you guys. And I'm sure we'll be doing the Shit We Seen Part 4 at some point in the future.
5, 6, 7.
For
Yeah.
Damn.
Follow us on the social medias for additional information on the events coming up.
And if you found this fun, absolutely leave us a review. Help us grow. Help us reach more people. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we love you guys. And go look at some spirits and tell us what you see.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.